So I've received countless comments over on our Discord that you can join, by the way. The link to that is in the description, but also under my YouTube videos about UFOs of people saying, dude, can you please analyze the Skinny Bob alien video? And that's what I want to do in today's video. I want to do a little bit of a deep dive, not a full deep dive, because you'll see as we go through this, there's an excruciating amount of forensic analysis and detail around this case. So I'm not going to go through all of it, but I read through all of it, and I feel like I've kind of condensed it into one fairly short, compelling take on the Skinny Bob video that I want to break down. I want to explain it, obviously, give you guys a little bit of background, but also investigate whether there might actually be a kernel of truth to the whole story. And as I'm doing this, feel free to share your thoughts about this incident, this footage, down in the comment section below. I'm not claiming that I have the ultimate truth about it. I'm just going to share my insights and my observations, and I'm curious to hear yours as well. Now, before we get into this, I have to give credit where credit is due. The original video has been uploaded by an account that is still out there. It is still live on YouTube. It is called Ivan0135. I will link it down in the description, and on that YouTube account you can still find all the original allegedly leaked videos. So the original video of the alien gray extraterrestrial from Zeta Reticuli, but also the additional footage, which we're obviously going to look at in a minute. But in this video, I don't want to show you the original clip, because if you look at it, you will notice that the quality is just miserable, okay? It looks very, very bad. It looks like damaged Super 8 footage, okay? And it has been allegedly recorded on 8mm film, but I have found an enhanced version, okay? There is a 60 FPS enhanced version out there that just cleans the footage up, that adds more clarity to it, that up-reses it slightly. So it is still the original footage. It looks very similar, but we get more detail out of it. We get it in 60 FPS. And as we go through this, I'm going to give you guys some basic insights and background around the footage. So let's take a look. This is the enhanced 60 FPS version of the famous Skinny Bob alien video. Now, this footage first surfaced in 2011. As I said, it was uploaded by a channel called Ivan0135. So it is now 13 years on YouTube, out there in the public. Since then, nobody has claimed stake to this footage, okay? Nobody has said, yeah, I was responsible for creating it. Nobody has claimed to have anything to do with its origin, and allegedly, it is part of a KGB leak. Okay, so apparently this footage that you see here was part of some secretive Russian government project where they captured this alien and then not interrogated it, but filmed it as it was still alive. Now, loads of experts over all these years have weighed in on this footage and shared their thoughts on it. Like, for example, there was a massive and quite famous article in the Daily Star about this footage where experts said that they would estimate that it would cost roughly $250,000 to create this footage in 2011, which obviously with those kinds of budget makes a fake somewhat unlikely. Now, the story behind it is that Bob, the alien that we see here, was the pilot of a flying saucer that was captured by the Soviet Union and originated from Zeta Reticuli. Again, the footage we see here is only part of the alleged leak. There is also this footage that we're looking at right now. Both these videos are not particularly long. I think the alien video we just looked at is just under 50 seconds. And then there's this footage, which is just like also, I think, 48 seconds or something. And it shows other things, right? It shows like a crash site with aliens laying on the ground. It shows some kind of house, some kind of mesa with flying discs hovering above it. So there's loads to unpack here. And people have done exactly that, because one unique aspect about this Skinny Bob case is that there is a dedicated deep dive website that is called skinnybob.info. I'll link that down in the description as well. I would recommend anyone who's interested in this case to go and check it out yourself. It really unpacks this case in excruciating detail. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages. Maybe not hundreds and hundreds, but many, many pages of just content where people analyze the footage, they clean it up, they break it down, they try to find the locations, they try to understand where it is. So it's not just like an forensic analysis of the alien footage, the famous clip, but also all the other clips that we just looked at are being analyzed in a lot of detail. And as you can imagine, I can't go through everything that we see here, then it would be a 4-hour video. I mean, feel free to let me know down in the comments. I'm happy to possibly do that in the future at some point. But for today, I've kind of picked out just the key points that mainly focus on the famous alien footage and ask just a few questions around that. But again, if you're interested in the case, I recommend you to go to skinnybob.info, read through it. There's a lot of information there. And while I really appreciate that this platform exists, and I would really hope that a platform similar to this would exist for many other UFO cases where we just pull together all the information that we have around it and ask the questions, do almost like a forensic analysis of these cases, like the Rendlesham Forest incident, the Roswell case, the Phoenix Light. I think pages like this should exist for all these incidences, but at the same time, to be honest with you, the thinking behind this page kind of falls flat. Because while they do ask the right questions and then come to conclusions that really question the authenticity of the Skinny Bob footage in this website, they are at the same time hesitant to come to the conclusion that it's basically just a hoax. And you'll see some of the examples that I'm going to break down to you in just a minute. But it says up here, just on the very top of the page, that the answer to the big question, if we are investigating something authentic or an elaborate hoax, is still unknown. Although the material has undergone extensive vetting by laymen and experts around the world, it remains an inconclusive mystery for quite a while now. And they give you a bit of a dramatic countdown here, how long the footage has been around. And nobody has been able to explain it since, right? Well, if you just scroll down ever so slightly, okay, you'll find that everyone agrees, including this website, that the footage has been tampered with. The video that is on Ivan's YouTube channel, that everyone knows as the Skinny Bob clip, has been altered digitally. For example, someone has added this damage film overlay or film damage overlay. Okay, so it's an artificial layer of film damage that simulates kind of the illusion of old footage when actually it's not really old footage. And some nifty people on the internet actually went through the effort of tracking down this exact effect, this overlay that you see here, and they found out that it is available as a stock video on the internet. Okay, so you go to a video stock footage website, download this template, someone did that, and overlay it over the existing footage, right? And at this point, you already have to ask yourself, like, why would anyone do that? If you have authentic Super 8, whatever 8mm footage of an alien creature recorded and leaked from the KGB, why would you go through the effort of downloading film damage and grain footage, like stock footage, and overlay it over the original footage, which makes it less clear? Like, why would you go through that effort? And that's not everything. The time code that sits at the bottom of both videos, right? This video that we looked at here, you can see the time code at the bottom there, and the same time code can be seen at the Skinny Bob Alien video at the bottom here as well. Now, it has to be said that Super 8 footage does not have digital time codes. That's, as I said, a digital effect. Okay, so that has been added to the film afterwards as well. And not only that, again, that's why this website is so great, because people have found out that the font that is used inside this timecode or for this timecode is Microsoft's Consolas font, which was released in 2006. All right, so it's a modern font that came out in 2006. And I think we can all agree, I mean, considering it's Super 8 footage and governments, even like, let's say this was recorded in the 1950s, 60s, we don't know the date, but governments always had cameras that were better than these kinds of rather garbagey looking potato style Super 8 cameras. So why do they use the Super 8 style, and why do they afterwards add in this timecode, a digital timecode on top of the footage, plus the damaged film overlay? So it is pretty clear, and it is broken down here as well on this website, that this footage has been heavily tampered with. Okay, so that tells me it's a hoax. Okay, this already tells me personally, and again, you can disagree with that. You can leave your thoughts why you think that this person who ever created this would add all these overlays over the original footage. But to me, I look at this, it screams hoax. And that's kind of, in my opinion, where the skinnybob.info website falls a little bit flat. Because instead of saying, like they say here in point number 3, the effects could have been an integral part of a hoaxing project to hide imperfections and limit production costs, right? If you add the damage overlay, you make it grainy, you add all these filters over the footage, you can hide a lot of detail in the footage itself, right? And that makes perfect sense to me. That really should have been the conclusion that comes out of it. But instead, they give you 8 other reasons and say, well, it could also be that Ivan added this to watermark the footage for it to be clearly identifiable as his. And it's like, no, dude, I mean, at this point, you have secret footage of an alien. But before publishing, let me just add some grainy damaged film overlay and the digital time code, I guess, to watermark it as mine. It makes no sense. At this point, we're already seriously grasping at straws. And that's just the beginning. As I said, go to skinnybob.info, read through it yourself. There are so many other question marks around the footage on that site that after reading it, it is pretty clear that we're probably dealing with a hoax here. But let's do a little bit more of an in-depth analysis of the footage itself, okay? Because I kind of have to put this here as a disclaimer. I work in digital image creation myself. I'm not a special effects artist or something, but I do work with CGI. I do create 3D imagery. I'm very familiar with how 3D software works, with how meshes and texturing works. So I feel like I can kind of give an informed opinion on footage like this. And having looked at it, there's just a bunch of points that really stood out to me. So let's look at this footage again. First and foremost, the movement of the head, okay? Especially here, around 10 seconds. There's one moment, did you see this? There's one moment that really stands out to me, where the alien head looks down and then it looks to the left. Now, if I'm looking down and I look to the left, there's fluid movement, okay? I'm not like looking down and then to the left, you know, like do it like a robot, right? Like when people in the 1980s did like the robot dance, they move very statically to the left and right. I can't do the robot dance, I apologize. But you get the idea. You move your head down, you move your head to the left in kind of almost like a 90-degree angle, like, you know, like a robotic machine. Something you may see in old animatronics, right? Where the movement is not very fluid, but instead you can see it is a machine moving left and right. That's exactly what you see here. Look how the alien is looking down and then to the left. There's like almost a hard cut in the movement, right? It moves in a very static way. There it is looking down, boop, and looking to the left. You see this? It is not very well done in terms of how the movement is kind of choreographed and put into motion. Also, there's a few other things. I mean, they put quite a bit of effort in trying to make it look natural, but they're really falling flat with it. It looks overly systematic and in places just a bit too smooth. The whole movement, if you look at a lot of CGI and you're familiar with how that stuff works, it looks too smooth. It doesn't look right. Also, if you have a head of that size compared to a body that is skinny, it's kind of in the name, you would have some counterweight movement, right? Assuming this head has a brain in it, some liquid. Your body would automatically adjust to the movement, right? If I'm sitting here and I'm moving my head, my shoulders move with it, and I have a fairly small head compared to Skinny Bob. However, looking at the footage, there is no counter movement in the shoulders, in the rest of the body. Also, let's take a look at the cloth. First of all, I don't know why an alien would wear a turtleneck jumper. Is it an ode to Steve Jobs? I don't know what is going on here, but you know, let's put that aside for a second. If you're wearing a jumper or a t-shirt or a piece of cloth over your body, that moves separate from your skin because those are two separate things. You have your skin and then you have cloth sitting over it. But what we see here is that this turtleneck and the cloth that sits at the neck of this alleged alien is moving with it. Okay, when he moves its head, it also stretches the fabric around the turtleneck, and that is because it is one big texture. The alien is one mesh, okay? What that means is it's one 3D figure that has one texture sitting over it. So obviously, if I move my head and this is one texture, I will move the t-shirt with my skin because the t-shirt is not a separate object in this 3D model, and that is very clear here. Another indicator that kind of gives the same thing away are these creases on his shoulder, right? If you look at my shirt, right? If I'm moving my head, the creases, if you look at my shoulder here, the creases in my shirt are moving, right? They are changing. Just because I move my head ever so slightly, the creases move because textile t-shirts are not static. They move on top of our skin, and as they slightly move, the creases on them change, but the creases that you see on Skinny Bob, like the one that sits over his shoulder here, they are static. They are static wrinkles in his clothes, which again indicates that this is not a flexible fabric that sits over a physical body. Instead, it is one mesh that has one texture over it that includes these creases, and they move with the bigger mesh, okay? The creases don't change. And when the skin on the neck stretches, so do the clothes. That's a dead giveaway, to me at least. The movement of the head, the lack of movement in the textile, the lack of behavioral patterns in the textile on his body, it's CGI. Okay, that's what it is. This is a CGI clip. And to be honest with you, a lot of people often come forward, especially believers, and say, well, in 2011, as this estimation that we heard in the beginning, of like hundreds of thousands of dollars it would have cost to put something like this together, it would have been almost impossible to create footage like that under the radar without having access to big render farms and so on. Well, keep in mind, for example, Jurassic Park came out in 1992. Okay, and that has stunning special effects that still hold up today in 2024. Avatar came out 1 year before this footage in 2010, and that movie is basically all CGI, right? It's just one big CGI feast that is very close to being photorealistic at the time. And keep in mind, we're looking at 50-second clips here. We're not looking at a feature film that requires on your home PC months and months or years and years of rendering time. We're looking at 50-second clips that are fairly short. So I think the argument to say that in 2011 it was impossible to achieve footage like that in your home, and already at that time you could hire render farms that make the rendering process itself go faster. So I think the argument to say in 2011 it was impossible to achieve footage like this just falls flat. Okay, it was absolutely possible to achieve this even on a home computer if you're working in 3D animation in your home, or maybe people did it in their office. Maybe it was a bunch of special effect guys and they did that almost as a hobby project. It is achievable even in 2011, and especially when it comes to the movement of the creature, I would even argue that it's not even particularly impressive for footage that was created in 2011, especially considering the washed out quality. So looking at this footage, this alleged leak, I come to the conclusion that it's a hoax. Someone created it, and let's be honest, someone created an iconic piece of alien footage. If you look at lists and posts on Reddit, for example, where people say, list your top 10 most credible alien cases or UFO videos out there, often Skinny Bob is listed in there. Within the circles of UFO believers, Skinny Bob, for some reason, is still considered somewhat credible and believable, and a lot of people really want to believe, in this footage. However, I think the way we looked at it today in this video, it discredits it, and there's just not that much left on it. And again, leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Maybe you're making some points that I haven't considered, and I'm open to listening to them. But I look at this footage, especially the 60 FPS enhanced version, and it's clearly CGI. And not even particularly impressive one, considering the context of the time. But guys, that's basically it. I hope you enjoyed this little breakdown of the Skinny Bob alien video. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button. I would greatly appreciate that. You can also subscribe to the channel and join our Discord. Okay, the link to that is down in the description. It's a lovely community over there. We're not just talking about aliens and UFOs on our Discord. We talk about all kinds of things, politics, video games, anything that you want to talk about. You can meet nice new people and join the community over on our Discord. So please hit the link down in the description. I would appreciate to meet you there. Guys, I appreciate your time as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. I'm out. Bye.